Good morning, Trump's family. Have a good day and God bless you. Thank you for always watching and subscribing to the channel. Alright, let's get into the news. And we know what's been going on behind the scenes with Katie Hobbs in the state of Arizona, how she has pressured the Secretary of States but the Secretary of Elections in each county to Supervisor Elections in each county to go ahead and certify this election even though there's been lots of questions. Well, now more and more evidence is coming out that she also used Twitter resources teams to silence her critics, once again Twitter interfering in an election. And this time in Arizona. We already know that Katie Hobbs has been linked to the FTX scandal where she has received money that was stolen from its investors and put into our coffers. Now, we also know that she utilized Twitter to silence her opponents. This is an absolute criminal. This is criminal what's taking place right now. And this election should not stand as it is at the moment. There should be a full-launched investigation into all of it, and possibly re-hold this election in Arizona. And now even that, I would go one step further and say that she's not fit for office because of all of these issues that has now becoming now that is surfacing. And one of those things is because of Elon Musk gets a hold on Twitter, and another is Kari Lake's refusal to stop fighting. So let's go take a look at this. Coming to it from the Gateway Pundit over here. And this says proof: crooked Secretary of State Katie Hobbs had Twitter silence her critics in Arizona prior to the election. She ran in no surprise for me whatsoever. Now we know why crooked Katie Hobbs didn't want to debate Kari Lake. Why would she? When she ran the election, oversaw 30% of the election day preseason machines breakdown, hadn't media in her pocket, and was working with social media platforms to silence her critics. This is likely criminal activity, especially if you silence your critics during her gubernatorial run, which is more than likely, as soon as we hear about. Over 70,000 ballots were sent out before Election Day. This was via Trump attorney Christina Bobb here. She says unreal. Katie Hobbs' office contacts Twitter to have posts removed. So the Democratic candidate who ran the Arizona election censored her political opponents, disrupted the election day vote, and then threatened counties with prosecution if they didn't declare her the winner. Here's one of the emails here. Right. And of course, it says thank you. Both tweets have been removed from the service. Thank you. Again. Just repeated efforts to go ahead and go after her opponents. So when is election? So when is this election too riddled with criminality that it has to be certified? When does the people say enough? When did the people of Arizona say enough? And why do we put up a party that continues side with a lawless communist left? Is this criminal activity? It should be in Arizona, and Marjorie Taylor Greene said the Secretary of State of Arizona and governor candidate Katie Hobbs used the power of the Arizona Secretary of State to collude with Twitter to unconstitutionally violate First Amendment rights of Americans for her own political gain. This is communism, and Hobbs cannot be governor. I'm calling for a federal investigation. And there needs to be more than just an investigation. There needs to be accountability. And no, not somebody just resigning, no prison sentences. For a lot of them. This isn't gone on long enough. And this is why Democrats continue to do what they do, because they know there's no consequence for them doing this. It has been proven already that there's no consequence because we have allowed 2020 to continue to be held up as some type of secure election, as they would call it. And we know that there was riddled with issues from the entire onset. Even Time magazine had chronicled how they had to step in to defend democracy no matter what, if they had to change the rules, change the laws in order to do so. This is criminal. Katie Hobbs needs to be in prison. And then this is some big news. Elon Musk has released his first massive bombshell against the whole of the establishment. We're talking the deep state. We're talking the Democratic Party. We're talking big tech and Silicon Valley oligarchs, and of course, the lamestream media. Now, if you haven't read through the thread from Elon Musk and Substack journalist Matt Taibbi, basically what it details was the internal communications of Twitter employees and U.S. lawmakers surrounding the censorship in the New York Post Hunter Biden laptop bombshell that exploded on the scene back in October 2020, just weeks before the election. Now remember, a poll by the Media Research Center found that 16% of Biden voters said they would have voted differently if they knew about the Hunter Biden scandal, and in an election that, when all is said and done, was basically decided by 30,000 votes, right? 10,000 Arizona, 10,000 in Georgia, and other 14,000, a figure, if I recall, 14,000, Wisconsin, I mean, 16% is gigantic. It's decisive. So of course, the question is, why did they not hear about this story, this bombshell? And the answer is now being shown to the world for all to see. It's being called the Twitter Files. I love that, actually so good. The Twitter Files, and the revelations were posted on Twitter last night by Toby on behalf of Elon Musk, and they show emails and other documents that detail how Twitter employees worked with FBI and Democrat officials to deliberately bury the Hunter Biden story. We got emails from Biden's 2020 campaign team to Twitter that showed that they were demanding Twitter to censor any and all content damaging to Biden. And then we have the emails that responded to them from Twitter saying handled, meaning Twitter employees fulfilled the request. We found that Twitter took extraordinary steps to suppress the Hunter Biden story. They removed links, posted warnings the story was, quote, unsafe. They blocked direct messages that linked to the story. They ended up actually claiming, you may remember this. They claimed that the New York Post story had violated their hacked materials policy. Do you remember this? In other words, Twitter leftists justified banning the story by actually claiming that the New York Post had hacked into Hunter Biden's laptop, which of course never happened. The story itself reported that Hunter left his laptop at a computer repair shop in Wilmington, Delaware, and never picked it up. And it was the repair shop owner himself who made a copy of the hard drive as part of the repair process. There was no hacking involved in any way, shape, or form. And we now know that the Twitter employees themselves revealed in their emails to each other that they knew that this hacked materials excuse was absolutely bogus, but nobody cared. No one did anything to reverse the decision to block the story. And of course, throughout this whole process, the New York Post was locked out of their account, as well as White House spokesperson, Kayleigh McEnany. They're all locked out of their account for sharing the story. Everybody at Twitter seemed to know that what they were doing was wrong, that no one involved violated any terms of service standard. And yet, because the employees were Democrats, and because the Democrats were pressuring them to do so, they imposed these radically punitive measures. Anyway, it was utterly insane. And to top it all off, an FBI lawyer was pushing Twitter to bury the Hunter Biden story. Not just any FBI lawyer, an FBI lawyer who was behind the whole Trump-Russia Spygate fabrication, an FBI lawyer who was deliberately trying to remove Trump from office. He actively advised Twitter to bury the story. And we've been found that conservative celebrities such as James Woods and others were deliberately targeted by Twitter employees, right? No surprise there. And this is all just the tip of the iceberg. Another dump is supposed to happen sometime tonight. Alright. And so as of today, Elon Musk is now officially the king of whistleblowers. Remember how much the legacy media used to love whistleblowers? Do you remember that? I wonder what happened to that love affair. Well, of course we all know what happened. What happened is precisely what the Twitter Files reveal. Steve Bannon said this, I think best you said. These documents now publish for all the world to see. These docs demonstrate that we have a national security globalist intelligence apparatus that works closely with big media and big tech to incessantly rig the whole of political, economic and cultural life around their own values, interests and concerns to benefit themselves. And now we're seeing the receipts. We're seeing the inner workings of what appears to be one of the centers for the PSYOP campaigns in Twitter that deliberately hide information, this case during the last weeks leading up to a presidential campaign, so as to ensure that voters vote the way the powers that be want them to. And all of this is just another way of saying that Musk has done more to push back against the permanent political class establishment than the whole of the Republican Party combined. One man has done more than an entire political party to begin the process of bringing down the telecommute active apparatus of the US globalist regime. And he's even teasing, revealing comparable interference in Brazil's recent presidential election. I have to wait to see what that's all about. But of course, there's an even more fundamental question to all of this. Why is Elon doing this? Why is Elon one person doing more than the whole of the Republican Party? Why is the richest man on the planet so hell-bent on exposing and thereby crushing the regime? One theory that's out there, it's very, very interesting. One is that the Biden regime, announced several months back, okay, so this is before any chatter about Elon Musk taking over Twitter. He announced that the Securities and Exchange Commission were planning on launching an investigation into Elon. Now there are different reports on that I've read. So it could involve one report. Has it involved his promotion to Dogecoin and others? Investigations of Tesla's autopilot. Regardless, the Biden administration was going to launch investigations into Elon affairs as it were, right? And so one theory is that Elon's purchasing of Twitter is part of what might be considered Elon's preemptive strike against the whole of the regime. Yes, no question. Elon is clearly a fan and champion of free speech, no question, but there seems to be something even bigger going on here. It goes just beyond ideological considerations, at least when it comes to Elon. Elon looks like he really is launching a full-on operation to discredit and bring down the intelligence agencies, big tech, leftist, the legacy media, all as part of a larger strategy in the end to protect himself in his own interests. Either way, what happened last night in that massive bombshell drop promises to be just the beginning. To which we can all say, regardless of your intentions, Elon, give them hell. Ladies and gentlemen, give me your thoughts below. And hit subscribe right now. And I will see you guys next time. Thank you for watching the video.